What's going on, y'all? This is Winota, and I believe it is quite possibly the strongest deck in Best of 1 at the moment. This is the version that I've been running with 10 1-drops and 4 Professor of Symbology as the main 2-drop, and of course they're all to set up for Winota. Whenever a non-human you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards, put a human from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, it gains indestructible, yada yada. So you try and play creature on 1, creature on 2, creature on 3, and then Winota, and then you attack, and then you fetch Blade Historian and several other humans from your deck also attacking. So then all those creatures have double strike, and you have a lot of them, and there's just nothing your opponent can do about it. I've been trying to play other creature-based decks lately, and I just keep getting absolutely demolished by Winota builds. So this is my Winota video. Yeah, I think this is the strongest way to play it. Our human hits, other than Blade Historian, are 1 Kenrith, who does a lot of stuff, mostly there because he's a 5/5 who can give everybody trample. And let's see, Spellbinder lets you look at your opponent's hand and put something from it into exile and make it cost more, good against any deck running sweepers, or pretty much any sort of removal. You usually want to try and hit with Spellbinder. And Kargan Intimidator is another human that does a lot of things. It can turn things into a coward, so it can't be blocked. It can get +1/+1 until end of turn. It can give itself trample, or other warriors trample. Winota, of course, is also a warrior, as is Usher of the Fallen, so the cowards thing applies to not blocking those as well, and it can give those warriors trample as well. Kargan Intimidator can also turn itself into a coward, and then it is a non-human, so it will trigger Winota when it attacks. And let's see, Skyclave Apparition and Bonecrusher Giant are just the best cards in white and red, respectively, at the moment. So we have 3 of each of those. I had 4 to start with, but I went down to 3 because I had a few too many hands that were like 3 or 4 3-drops in them and nothing to do on 1 or 2. So we went up to 10 1-drops and cut down to 3 of each of these. I also didn't want to go any lower on the human count, or we'd get too low, or too high a chance of whiffing, rather, which of course we don't want. Then Professor of Symbology can also help you hit a 3-drop, because when at ETBs you can go fetch Inkling Summoning or Spirit Summoning for a 3-mana non-human creature with slightly below rate stats, but it's a free card, so it's still good. And yeah, the other things, you can get environmental sciences if you need the land, you can get academic probation to stop a sweeper or something like that, and mascot exhibition if you somehow get up to 7 lands, which almost never happens because we very much try to win on turn 4 or sometimes 5, because we just attack with double strike everything. It's really good. So yeah, let's go try it out. See, this hand is fine. We don't have either of the 4-drops that say win the game on them, but we've got a good curve, so we'll take it. On the play against Yorion, probably Sultai. Let's play the one we don't need to use mana to use, because we want to curve out properly here. Worried about them having Eliminate or Heartless Act or something like that. Alright, looks like it'll be Omen of the Sea, sure. Yep. I think we just get the Bonecrusher down here. Since they didn't ramp, they can't sweep us next turn. Although, see, the other option is to play both of these, though I guess if I was going to do that, I should have pumped the Intimidator. Let's just be as aggressive as possible here. It's not the most efficient use of our cards, but Stomping Face isn't that good of a use of Stomp, and there's nothing else really to do with Stomp against Sultai, generally speaking. Well, not quite good game. Alright, I don't even have Winota in my hand. They still concede. Works for me. Though who knows what they had in their hand. Maybe it was all do nothing. But yeah, that's how good this deck is. People concede without even doing the top end because it's just that good. Here we have the top end, but I'm not sure we'll hit our lands. I think we have to believe though. And mono red, of course. Let's see. Yep. Alright, definitely did not want to draw that Kenrith, so that's fine. Yeesh, not a land. Generally never want to block in the aggressive matchups because our top end just goes bigger than theirs. If they attack with a robber here, I'll trade though, because that's trading up and it stops them from stealing more of my cards. Go get a red source, because we might need to stomp something. And hope we draw a land. 4-drop is not land. Let's see. They're probably just going to play this Shatter Skull Charger again, so holding up Stomp isn't great. I think we just get more creatures out. Let's see, do I trade here? No. If we can play our Bone Crusher next turn, no, we cannot. That's probably game over. We're just stuck on 2. Yeah. Run 22 lands. Sometimes that's enough, sometimes not quite. But you should factor that into your mulliganing decisions. The chance to draw more lands isn't quite as high as it might be for other decks. If you have a Professor of Symbology, that helps a lot because you can get environmental sciences. Like here, I feel much safer keeping the 2-lander. Mono red again. Let's play this so we can trade with their robber. Alright, they're just going to stomp, that's fine. I'll play my creature that gets additional value. Probably should have attacked first, but oh well. Sciences. Gaining 2 life is also fairly nice in the mono red matchup. Oh, it's Izzet. Sure. Well, we can Skyclave app that next turn. Assuming it doesn't get hexproof here. Calamity Bearer, oh, it's Giants, alright. They're playing a bad deck. Gotcha. Let's see. Skyclave app is not the most efficient use of our mana, but I don't think we have much of a choice. We can't let them have this Calamity Bearer. I think the double damage is going to be more important than the gaining 3 life a turn. As we should still be able to outdamage it if we find Winota or a Blade Historian. Another Mecha Godzilla, sure. Yep. Yeesh, that's not quite what we're looking for here. I think I want to see what's going on in their hands. Alright, well, I don't really care about negate. Let's see, do I get mascot exhibition here? We're 2 turns from playing it. Assuming we draw land in the next 2 turns, that is. And if we don't, then hopefully one of those non-lands will be Winota or Blade Historian. Glimpse, yep. They're holding open the Faceless Haven attack. Third Crystalline Giant, sure. Yep. I'm going to trade the dog here. Alright, there's the land, so we can use mascot exhibition next turn. Are we attacking here? I don't think so. We just save all our stuff for when we find Blade Historian or Winota. Let's see, there are 8 of them. We've gone through a quarter of our deck. That's fairly unlikely. Kenrith would be fine too. They probably don't have many ways of killing a Kenrith. No, they run Squash, I bet. Yep. Let's block the Vigilant one here. Do I want to trade anything else here? Guess I'll trade for both of these, that's fine. Sure. More land, sure. Here's mascot exhibition. Well, if we do find a Winota, it's gonna be a doozy. Don't know if our opponent has anything that really goes over the top of us here to get that last 6 through. Well, that's pretty good. Crush the Weak will do that. I think we have to take this and hope we draw Winota or we lose. There's Winota, finally. Though we're still dead on the crackback. And we're dead to that stomp too. Absolutely wrecked by Crush the Weak. Thing is, nobody actually plays that card. need to draw lands, but we have professors, so we should be okay. Alright, no land means we fetch sciences here. No one drop here is very unfortunate. Let's see, I only have one environmental sciences, don't I? That feels bad. Let's see if our opponent's a Soaring Thought Thief gamer. Does not appear so. In that case, Bone Crusher is our most mana efficient play. Behold, sure. Some sort of Dimir Control. Probably not rogues if they play Behold over Of One Mind or what is it? Into the Story. So a more traditional Dimir Control. If we get a land here, we're still okay. If we don't, we're very screwed. There it is. You discard the Lock Mirror. Alright, we got 2 Winota triggers, so I think that's better than Blade Historian here. Probably just Heartless Act the Winota here. Yeah. That's fine, we still get in for 6, and we have both Blade Historians in hand. Unless this is Shadow's Verdict, we should be good. Okay, no verdict yet. Extinction event to kill 1 creature. Odd is the correct choice there. Let's see. This on white. I guess I'm assuming they have a second extinction event in hand. I could go get Academic Probation and stop that from happening. Though then it could be Shadow's Verdict, and then we lose anyway. Play Blade Historian, we get in for 4, and then we're screwed. I think we want to just get another creature here with our Professor. So we'll go for the Spirit Summoning. That way we still have lots of gas in our hand if they do have another sweeper. And if they don't have another sweeper, then we just Blade Historian and win. Yep. That was as expected. So, do they have 3 sweepers? They have to, right? Never don't have it. Ashiok, sure. They have to make a blocker here, or they're dead to the Blade Historian. Yep. But I can make that a coward, and they're still dead. Yep. Yeah, that, what is it? The Professor is pretty nice for playing around sweepers because you just get another card with it. Creatures that replace themselves are always pretty nice. And it fills your curve, fetches lands. As a 2-mana 2/1, of course it's not the best aggressive creature in the game, but just the flexibility it gives you with all the learn cards, very excellent. Lesson cards, rather. Yeah, that'll do. Our opponent with Lorehold sleeves, possibly also playing Winota. Or maybe they just like the elephant dude. What is it, Quintorius? Open with our more aggressive creature. Stompies. Get in. The mirror is where Bone Crusher and Skyclave App really shine. But since they don't give us anything here, we're just going to play our Bone Crusher. Maybe they're mono white. Yep, I'll Skyclave App that, don't mind. Fetch another white so I can also play my 1-drop here. Get the Savior so they can't stomp my Apparition. And then hope we find some top end. Alright, Basri's Lieutenant means they're definitely Winota. Easy game. 4 triggers. Thanks. They don't know we top decked that too. There's Kenny. There's a Blade Historian. And we'll take one of these too. Seems fine. Good game. They're playing Showdown. That seems kind of greedy. Showdown is not a card that you play when you want to win on turn 4, because it just gets cards on turn 4. That's a turn 6 win kind of card, which is not what I'm going for with this Winota. Bit of a lucky top deck there, but we do have 8 cards that win the game. The odds of getting one of them by turn 4 are pretty good. With only 2 lands on the play, I don't think is gonna do. This is not better. Our opponent on Lutri, interesting. Alright, that's more like it. Keep. Think it's just Bone Crusher and Blade Historian for the win. And of course, now we draw the lands. Let's see if they negate the stomp or have some sort of counter for it. No. Okay. Second land off the top, definitely not what we were looking for. What have we got here, friendo? Nothing, huh? Well, Professor's pretty good for reloading on turn 5 because you can get it and one of the token spells. Divide by 0. Sure. You still take 4 for that. Not bad. See if they kill the Bone Crusher here. If they do, we play the Professor. If not, we go for the Historian. Alright, open mana. They definitely have something to do with the Professor. I'm sure their plan is not to take 8 here. So I'm going to attack first and then play Professor. This way we might get the 4 damage through this turn. Nice. I got another white source. Interesting. I'll go get the 3/2. If they have exactly Shadow's Verdict, that's rough, but I don't think they would have made the 2/2 here if that was in their hand at the moment. Cling to draw, sure. Alright, now we'll go for this. Sure. Then I'll happily trade one of these for the shark. -2 and +1 card for me to get rid of the Bone Crusher, sure. Alright. Do I think they have a counterspell for Mascot Exhibition? I think we take that chance. Because if they hold up counters for Mascot Exhibition, they're just taking 4 on the ground here. Unless they have Extinction Event and Negate. Or Gadwick's not going to do it. It does block the 2/1s, that's true. Extinction Event is still bad for us. And lets them keep the Gadwick. But they can't have multiple copies, of course, because they have the Lutri companion, so they only have 2 sweepers in their deck. Well, 2 of the sweepers that kill everything here. They might also have Crippling Fear, stuff like that. Onyx. Sure, you're still dead. Xaxes, yep. They block the 3/2, take 6, got him. Go again. Right. Sand isn't ideal, but it is fine. Don't have a 1-drop or a top end. We find a 1-drop though, so that helps. The curve is just so much nicer when you have a 1-drop. Definitely wouldn't want to go below 10 of them. That's a very nice stomp target for us. Let's go ahead and get the Snarl down. Yeah, Spirant growing bigger every turn, and they just concede. Sure. That'll happen, I suppose. Who knew you can win on turn 2 even if you're not playing Trickery? Yeah, this hand will do. We need to draw our top end, of course, but then we'll have 3 or 4 good attackers, probably pretty nice. Judging by the Thopter pet and our opponent's speed here, I am gathering that they are on mobile. which somewhat excuses playing slow, but not entirely, of course. And they're playing cycling. Alright, that excuses absolutely nothing. They're obviously a terrible human being. I can't imagine playing cycling on mobile. It's just so many buttons to push all the time. I'm just messing around. Cycling's a perfectly viable deck, to be clear, but I don't like it. Yeah. Breaking out the rope on turn 2. Love to see that. Will I attack with my fox and cycle 2 cards? Who knows? 3 combat cycles, not even trying to trick me here. Just the 1 pre-combat cycle, big brain. Okay. I will play 2 doggos. And they are not holding priority, so I'm going to attack. Which means they don't have a 1-mana cycling card. Unless they are playing much smoother than they were previously. Yeah, I didn't think so. Hopefully we can use our Spellbinder here to hold back a token generator. That's what we're most afraid of in this deck. I'm just getting a million blockers. Because our only way really through that is Kenny. Not sure what's in their hand though if they have no 1-mana cycling cards. There's the Fairy Enchantment, the 0/4 Bolty Boy, and Valiant Rescuer, the token generator as well, and Flare and lands, essentially. That's probably all. Yep, there's the 0/4. That's a pain. Well, let's get in their hands. Zenith Flare and Improbable Alliance. Well, I'm not too afraid of Zenith Flare. Improbable Alliance makes a ludicrous number of tokens. No attacks here. If they tap out for Improbable Alliance here, we're in a decent spot because we can start attacking with our flyer. But we still need to draw Blade Historian or Winota to really win this game. If they cycle the Triome and try to bolt our Spellbinder, we just make it indestructible, and then we can block their Fox as well. Cycle Neutralize, sure. What do you target? Since I don't have Winota in hand, I would very much like to keep my Spellbinder. Now they have another card that cycles for 1. Or priority wouldn't hold here. Two Winota hits should be enough. So I'm not valuing the dog over the Spellbinder here. Of course, none of our creatures, other than Winota and Kenrith, can attack through the Pyromancer well, we also have Bone Crusher Giant. But none of these creatures can attack through the Pyromancer unless we get a Blade Historian, which is tough. Let's see, this is draw the second card each turn, so they can't cycle once on our turn and bolt something. Come on, man. Skyclave app is pretty good. I think we get rid of the Pyromancer here. Because otherwise they can just take out one of our creatures every turn. I don't think saving it for the Improbable Alliance is worth it. Just get everything out so we're ready for when we draw Winota. They also ran out of time. They weren't able to play a land last turn, I believe. Yeah. Which of course puts us somewhat ahead. Though 5 lands and nothing to do with them isn't a great place to be. If they attack with the Fox, we can start boasting with the Usher, and that's something to do with our mana. But I don't expect that they'll do that because it's currently holding back 6 damage. Another Pyromancer. They still have a 1-drop Cycler, I believe, but they elect not to use it. Let's get it out of their hand. It's a 2-mana Cycler. I'd rather they not cycle that than I am scared of their Zenith Flare with only 3 cycling cards in the graveyard. There's no reason to hold that to bluff. If they have any familiarity with our deck, they know that we don't really do much instant speed interaction. Except for Stomp, which obviously isn't phenomenal against their deck here. And of course, exiling the Neutralize with the Spellbinder means they can't cycle it because it's not in their hand. Which our opponent might be learning now. See them hovering over the Neutralize there. They play the Triome rather than cycling. Interesting. Okay. They've gotta still be worried about the Flyers, right? Yeah. And I don't believe they drew a cycling card because of the way priority passed there, which is good. Another Alcide. Doesn't really do anything for us this turn, but next turn it can get us through blockers. And it can save a creature from Zenith Flare, which would also stop their life gain if they plan to flare a creature. If they go Improbable Alliance into cycle, we haven't won yet. But I think any other play they have here, we do win. Okay, Improbable Alliance, and they still have priority. And they cycle, of course, yep. They still have to target the flyer. Okay. I think I let that go, and then I can give both Spellbinders protection from blue next turn. And then they can't be blocked by the fairy, and then we win. And cycling one thing doesn't trigger either of these, so it doesn't matter if what this other card is. Unless it's like shock or something, which I would be very surprised if they had shock. Come on, let's hurry up and get this game over with. Protection from blue. Protection from blue. There we go. Well, a long fought battle, but we finally get through cycling. I think that'll do it for today. Good little 5-win streak there. That happens quite a bit in my experience playing this deck. Go back over it. Yeah, Skyclave and Bone Crusher are exceptionally strong, but I think, like I said in the intro, you really want to curve out properly. Though having more of these does make the deck stronger if you don't draw Winota or Blade Historian, which does, of course, happen. I don't know. You have some issues either way. There was one game where I wished I had a second Environmental Sciences in the sideboard, but I think we won anyway. You don't really need 2 of each of these summonings. I generally use the 3/2 over the 2/1 flyer. So most of the go wide decks nowadays have flyers anyway, between Clarion Spirit and Improbable Alliance, which we just saw. These two do win games just about every time they come down, as we saw. We didn't really get to go off that many times. It usually came down to more of a mid-rangey fight between these guys, but we still did very well with that. I'm not entirely convinced that Usher is great here. I mean, sure, it's a 1-mana 2/1 that triggers Winota, but the Boast creates creatures that don't trigger Winota. It's possible you could run the Goblin instead of Usher, the one that deals damage equal to its power when it dies, but meh, it did fine. Definitely want at least 10 1-drops, as I've been saying. That helps a lot. Let's see, how many lands are we running here? 24. Yeah, we shouldn't really get screwed that much. I thought I had 22 in here, but yeah, 24 should be pretty fine. And you do want a good amount of lands because you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Past 4, of course, doesn't really matter, but the only way to draw more cards, essentially, is Professor of Symbology. None of the others let you see more of your cards for lands. But yeah, this deck is great. Use it on the ladder. You'll win a lot. I'll have more budget versions and a best of 3 version coming soon. Yeah, thanks for watching.